Welcome, viewers. It is August 13th, 1991. A phone call comes to the Portland police station. A woman on the phone complains that her mother is missing. The police immediately go to their house and search the premises. They thought she might have gone out somewhere. But her belongings were there. More importantly, her favorite car was outside the house. She never goes out without her car. So the police inquire about her husband. He said, "On that day, we had an argument. After that, I went out in anger. When I came home, she wasn't there. But I didn't worry much and went to sleep because she often does this after a fight. I thought it was just like usual," he said. Yes, he was telling the truth. In similar situations, she had disappeared for a week without informing anyone. But this time, even her car was at home. Where and how could she have gone? That's why her daughter complained to the police. What happened to her? Where did she go? Is it possible to find out? In the 1990s, the forensic department investigated thoroughly and closed the case. If you crave crime thrillers, true stories, mysteries, horror tales, and both solved and unsolved cases, hit that subscribe button now. I bring you these gripping stories regularly, and you won't want to miss them. Let's dive into today's video. In the state of Maine, USA, there is a big city called Portland. Fishing was a big business there, and 48-year-old Pearl Smith worked as a fish packer. Despite the low salary, she had a lot of work. After finishing her shift, she often went to a nearby bar for a drink. A man named Bill Burns frequented the same bar every day. He was a fish trucker, transporting fish to other locations. He worked as a truck driver. Both of them found common ground. They shared the misery of failed marriages. Pearl had been divorced more than 5 times, and Bill more than 3 times. Meeting daily at the bar, they started to get along and eventually got married in 1986. Their life seemed to be going happily until the events I mentioned in the intro began to unfold. Linda, a homicide investigator, was appointed by the police to handle this case. As part of the initial investigation, the police checked airlines, buses, and taxi services to confirm that Pearl Smith had not left town. When they asked her current husband, Bill, where she might have gone, he suggested she might have run away with her ex-husband. The police chief who was investigating thought this was plausible. He personally knew Bill and Pearl for many years. Pearl was an alcoholic, and she had divorced multiple times before. He shared this on TV news. Days turned into weeks, but there was still no sign of Pearl. What happened to her remained unclear. As news of Pearl's disappearance spread, the police began receiving many tips. One caller claimed to have seen her walking alone on the road at night, but there was no other substantial information. Exactly 6 weeks later, a man hiking in a forest 350 miles away from Pearl's house discovered a lady's handbag. It turned out to be Pearl's handbag, confirmed by her ID card and some jewelry inside. A small blood splatter was found in a note in the handbag. The police, now treating this as a possible homicide case, revisited Bill's house. Upon entering, they noticed something new. Police asked Bill if he had changed the carpet. Bill replied it was an old carpet. When asked if he had washed it recently, he claimed to have only vacuumed it. However, the police knew he was lying. The carpet looked too clean. A few days earlier, a neighbor had seen Bill bringing a carpet steam cleaner into the house. Why did Bill lie about cleaning the carpet? Pearl's daughter told the police that her stepfather, Bill, must be responsible for her mother's disappearance. She believed he had killed her mother. The police then searched Bill's entire house using cadaver dogs. These dogs are trained with a chemical called pseudocor, which mimics the smell of a dead body. If the dogs detect this smell, they identify the source and lie down. When the dog was brought to Bill's house, it immediately went to the basement. The dog trainer noticed the dog was smelling something and finally lay down at a specific spot. Confident, the police began digging where the dog indicated, but found nothing. Weeks turned into months, and the police struggled without any new clues. The police suspected Bill might have killed Pearl and dumped her body in the sea or somewhere along his truck route. As a fish truck driver, his truck would already have traces of blood and an AC unit to keep the fish from spoiling, perfect for hiding a body. However, this was just a suspicion, and they lacked solid evidence to prove Bill's guilt. Realizing the police suspected him, Bill insisted, "I have nothing to do with this. Why are you suspecting me?" Meanwhile, the police received crucial information from Pearl's friend. She said that a few days before Pearl went missing, Pearl had confided in her. "Bill and I are fighting often now. If anything happens to me, Bill is the reason. You have to tell the police he did it." This gave the police enough reason to obtain a warrant to search Bill's house again, this time with a forensic team. The forensic team used a chemical called luminol, which makes cleaned bloodstains glow in the dark. When applied in Bill's house, the luminol revealed blood splatters in many places on the floor. From the bed to the basement, the cleaned areas started to glow. This indicated that something, likely a body, had been dragged to the basement. 4 feet away, there was a significant blood stain, suggesting a body had been lying there. The police's cadaver dog had indicated the same spot. Despite previous searches yielding nothing, the luminol evidence confirmed Bill's lies. The police intensified their investigation, now certain of a connection between Bill and Pearl's disappearance. Confronted with the evidence, Bill stuck to his story, claiming ignorance and suggesting Pearl's ex-husband could be responsible. The police desperately searched for Pearl's body, as it was essential to connect the crime to Bill. Despite extensive searches, they couldn't find her body. The case stalled for 9 months until the police employed a new forensic technique called ground-penetrating radar. This device sends radar signals underground, which reflect off objects and reveal their location. Using the radar, they searched Bill's basement and identified a human-shaped object. Digging at that spot, they began to smell decomposition. After 13 months, the police finally found Pearl's body buried under her own house. Now, half of Bill's story was confirmed true. The fight happened, but the other half was a lie. He never left the house. During the fight, Bill had beaten Pearl to death. He cleaned up the blood and transported her body to the basement in garbage bags, leaving a trail of blood. He buried her there and continued to act innocent. The police's cadaver dog had correctly identified the spot, just a few feet away from where they initially dug. The police arrested Bill and sent Pearl's body for an autopsy. Shockingly, the autopsy revealed Pearl had cancer and would have died within 6 months. Pearl's daughter remarked, "If Bill hadn't fought with my mother that day, she would have died naturally, and Bill wouldn't be in jail now. But he deserves this punishment." Bill was charged with manslaughter, an unplanned murder, and sentenced to 15 years in prison. Dear viewers, this case shows how advanced forensic science was in the 1990s in the USA. Imagine how much it has progressed by 2024. There is no perfect crime. Everything will come to light eventually. Do not forget to comment on what you think about this case, and let me know which case you want to hear about next. We'll see you in another video like this. Thank you, and goodbye.